What if you could save your consciousness when you die, allowing you to continue living in a digital and virtual space? That's the brief premise of Amazon's comedy Upload, and the second season is now arriving. Now, I began to love the first season, so does this next season maintain the magic, or should it just be deleted? Nathan is at a crossroads in his digital afterlife. His ex-girlfriend Ingrid has unexpectedly arrived in Lakeview, hoping to strengthen their relationship, but his heart still secretly yearns for his customer service angel, Nora. Meanwhile, Nora is off the grid and involved with the anti-tech rebel group, the Luds, as they plan to take action against the wealthy uploaders. So the first season of this really caught me off guard. Now, the series is created by Greg Daniels, who's responsible for The Office, and we watched that first season almost on a whim. But I got sucked into the quirky humor, which then developed into me loving the characters and rooting for the budding romance between Nathan and Nora, even if it seemed it would never be able to work out. Plus, there's a small mystery going on about whether or not Nathan was murdered, and then why. At the end of the season, his wealthy but controlling and even sometimes annoying girlfriend/ex-girlfriend Ingrid, she uploads to join Nathan in the afterlife at Lakeview, which could cause all sorts of wonkiness for Nathan. This season continues to follow the players and really puts large focus on several different storylines of our characters, which thankfully they just don't diverge too much and they really do keep the story connected. Robbie Amell and Andy Allo continue as the main leads, and I love their characters both individually and then together. There's a sweetness and a longing that's shared between them that really comes across the screen and makes me want to root for them. I like Amell's Nathan because he seems to be a really nice guy. I mean, sure, he gets frustrated, but he also treats people well, and then his comedic timing works perfectly off of his co-stars, where he's not just over-exuberant to be funny, but he's really just slyly delivering lines that made me chuckle and smile. Allo's Nora is smart and sweet, but in this season, I love how conflicted she is in her actions. When she joins the Luds, that anti-tech group, we get to see how it refreshes her, but also how it kills a portion of who she is because she really likes technology, and then more so how the technology allows her to connect with Nathan. Now, the first season really worked to establish the world for us and how everything just functions. It's also a big fish out of water scenario because Nathan not only has to come with grips of just being dead and then uploaded, but now he has to learn how to live in this virtual world with other uploaded people. The second season allows us to dive more heavily into the story and not worry about establishing how everything works. And this also allows, as I had mentioned before, for the story to focus on some of the secondary players, which makes for some fun and wonky storylines. Now, Ingrid, and Nathan's ex-girlfriend who unexpectedly uploaded to be with him, is struggling to win him back. And she can be very annoying at times, but the show also allows us some other peeks into her life that make her very sympathetic and sweet. I mean, even if we still don't want to root for her and Nathan to get back together. The story puts Ingrid on a quest this time, and the situation is weird and a bit unsettling, but it's also amusing. Through this story arc, the AI guy also gets to have some more prominent parts, which again is very odd in how they execute it, but I still found it fun. Luke, this Arrested Development man-child at Lakeview who befriended Nathan in the first season, he continues to play the fool, which means that he gets to give wisdom to Nathan in unexpected ways. But he's also the central focus of another story that's involving his angel, Alicia. There's a moment when just a brief line of dialogue is spoken that really gives us insight into his character. And for me, it catapulted him from being this annoying bro dude to someone I really wanted to see win. And Alicia also gets more prominence, which is, I think, entertaining. I mean, she's a very spirited character, and I love how the story allows her to have some conflict within the narrative, which then in turn makes her a more dynamic player. She goes from being a sidekick co-worker of Nora's to an active member of the cast with some good prominence, which then should also lead to some other conflict down the road. The special effects are still really great looking. Now, there are a couple of times where the AI guy's face will be digitally inserted on a character that it's clearly not meant for, which looks wonky and wrong, but that's exactly how it's supposed to look. So in the end, it's effective. Now, I love the concept of the phones on people's hands while they wear this wristband. And there's this nuance that they employ to give it even more realism by, the characters have it up like this, but then they turn their hand so whoever they're chatting with can see what they're trying to show them. Now, the mystery and tension of this season work well, and they continue to progress the story in an engaging way. There's some sort of nefarious plan working, but because of some character movements, it causes doubt at who is involved and then to what degree. And so are the supposed bad guys really the bad guys, or is their plan actually noble in disguise? Now, in the first season, there were 10 episodes to get us established and then grow the story. In the second season, there are only 7 episodes, and the way that it concludes, it's not very satisfying. It ends on sort of a cliffhanger, but it really felt like I was missing a few episodes. There wasn't the massive climax or huge resolution that you'd expect from a season finale. Instead, the episode just kind of ends. Now, it does its job in making me want more, but I prefer to want more after having just this good conclusion. And each of the 7 episodes is around a half an hour, so it's not a long binge at all. And because the story is fun, it makes the experience go by pretty fast. And even though this is a comedy, it's not a laugh a minute. I mean, there are portions that are very amusing and funny, but there are also points that are more somber and serious, which I think are needed to keep us emotionally engaged. But not all of that humor lands. There are some jokes and characters that they feel forced, like they were just trying too hard to squeeze a joke or laughs out of a situation that clearly wasn't funny. Now, luckily, these situations, they're not very prevalent within the show. So overall, the second season of Upload is charming and sweet with some decent humor. Robbie Amell and Andy Allo as the leads create characters we want to succeed and are very convincing due to their great chemistry. The supporting cast gets more prominence this season, allowing for deeper and more diverse storylines that continue to reinforce the central narrative. The special effects mostly look great, and the humor lands well for the majority of the season. I do wish the season would have ended a bit more satisfyingly, though, with a conclusion that felt more conclusive rather than feeling like episodes were missing. All in all, this is engaging, and I'm looking forward to a third season that hopefully is going to arrive pretty quickly. There's sex, some nudity, a lot of profanity, and just a tiny bit of violence. I give Upload Season 2 4 out of 5 couches. So if you could and the technology existed, would you upload? Let me know in the comments below. Also, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday and I, we're collaborating on a Patreon project called The Bearded Ones that will give you access to some exclusive content like reviews, stories, and even more. Plus, there's even the opportunity to request reviews. Now, I've linked the Patreon site in the description below, so please hit that link just to find out more. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.